So they just need what the planned agenda is? And
Yeah.
that's good. We can work that out.
Time to start.
Okay, so you're gonna,
Do that one first.
Here,
Good morning.
here,
okay.
I'm somewhere.
Oh, on the two, no, wait a minute. You're on the tentative now. Okay, so A is the one you need to recuse. Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what you said.
I didn't say anything.
I said, what are you wearing today?
Yeah. Hello, I work too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I think
You
we're,
pick that number A.
we're looking at 9 o'clock Cupertino time. What else matters? Too short, though. Okay, I'm going to call this meeting of January 25th to order of the Tulare County Planning Commission. And I haven't done this for a while, but let's start with a roll call.
Commissioner Gong is absent, and he did inform us. Millies,
Here.
Elliott,
Here.
Diaz,
Here.
Whitlatch,
Here,
Vitigliano,
Here.
Aguilar.
Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, members of the public may comment on any item not appearing on the agenda. Under state law, matters presented under this item cannot be discussed or acted upon by the Planning Commission. For items appearing on the agenda, the public will be invited to make comments at the time the item comes up for Planning Commission consideration, so that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak. Any person addressing the Planning Commission may be limited at the discretion of the chair. Is there anyone who'd like to make a comment on something not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 3. If I can turn the page here. And that is our approval of the January 11th minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the last meeting.
I second that.
We have a motion and second. Roll call, please.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Abstain.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes,
Vitigliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on then to our consent calendar. If there's no discussion on that, does anybody want to make a motion on that?
I have a question on this one.
Okay.
I'm familiar with this property. It's been vacant under pending development for quite a long time, and I realize it's changed ownership. But I'm just curious about the in the paragraph under project overview, second probably paragraph on the second page. Sorry, about the fourth paragraph, I'm sorry.
it's the first item. It's the
First item.
Lindsay Car Wash.
The applicant received the property as a bona fide gift from Mr. Guman per the gift deed in August 2016, submitted application December 19th, 2016. The last sentence, the explanation for the time extension request is the present business atmosphere. Could I get a better clarification of what the better business atmosphere waiting time is all about? I'm not sure why there's a better business atmosphere to wait for.
Well, I'm sure that's covering a lot of bases there, but
Seems like the better business atmosphere is upon us.
Commissioner, April Hill may have an answer for us.
Good morning, Chairman,
This is, and Commissioners, April Hill, RMA Planning. I understand there have been a few prospects, including one of the dollar stores on that site, but nothing has come through. So they're just
So
hoping
they're
to,
waiting to sell it again?
right,
Oh, okay.
and or put in a chain, start with a chain, gas station.
Okay, fine, okay. That explains it.
Okay, so I guess we can entertain a motion on the consent calendar.
I'll
Make
make
a
that
motion.
motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Need a second?
I
I'll
second.
second it.
Roll call.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Vitigliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to the parcel map hearings. And we've had a request to make B first or last? I forget.
Be first.
B, we'll consider B first because Nancy has something she'd like to say on that one.
I would like to recuse myself from this project, so I'll step off and come get me when I'm done.
Okay, so I guess we'll take, generally we take all these together, but at the request of Commissioner Patigliano, we'll take B as a separate item so she can come back in on the others. Is there any other discussion on B? I guess not.
Commissioner Elliott, if we could open up the public.
Oh, yeah, we need to open up the public hearing on all of them, and so B is certainly a part of that. Does anyone like to testify on B?
Let's just open the public hearing on B for now until Commissioner Patigliano comes back, and then
Okay.
we'll open A through.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing on B. And if there's anyone like to speak for or against on that one. If not, we'll close the public hearing on B and entertain a motion on that one, unless there's discussion up here.
No, they're just
Pretty
splitting short 80.
straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll look for a motion on B then.
Make a motion to approve the categorical exemption consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and the state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14, California Code Regulations, Section 15303, Class 3, pertaining to limited number of new small facilities or structures, and conditionally approved tentative parcel map PPM 16-042, and waiver of final map.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Okay, we can get Nancy then. I'm probably the closest I can do. Okay, now we can open the public hearing on the remaining parcel map hearings. Is there any discussion on any of these items?
That open the public hearing? Did you open
That's
it?
what he's doing.
Oh, you did? Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll consider these as separate motions. If there's no discussion, we'll close the public hearing and consider these. We'll start with A, which is a tentative parcel map PPM 16-043. Do we have a motion on that one?
I'll make the motion, we accept recommend, a categorical exemption consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and the state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14, California Code Regulations, Section 15303, Class 3, pertaining to a limited number of new small facilities or structures, and conditionally approved tentative parcel map number PPM 16-043 and waiver of final map.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Vitigliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to C, and we can open the public hearing again on C if there's anything. Any comments on that? If not, we'll close that and entertain a motion on the tentative parcel map number PPM-16044, and that's Family Tree Farms in Four Creeks.
I make a motion, oh, have you closed it? I'm sorry.
I'll close that public hearing, we'll entertain
They're
a
all
motion.
closed at this point, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the categorical exemption consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act and the state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14 Cal Code Regulations, Section 15303, Class 3, pertaining to construction and location of limited numbers of new small structures, and conditionally approve tentative parcel map number PPM 16-044 with a final map waiver.
Second that?
Roll call?
Bailey's,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Willach,
Yes.
Vitigliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Okay, and then we'll move on for any discussion from the board or a motion on the vesting tentative parcel map PPM-16-039. Do we have a motion on that one?
I'll make a motion, we approve and recommend categorical exemption consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and the state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14 California Code Regulations, Section 15303, Class 3, pertaining to new construction or conversion of small structures, and conditionally approve vesting tentative parcel map number PPM 16-039.
About a second.
I second that.
Roll call.
Bailey's,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Willach,
Yes.
Vitigliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Okay, and then our final tentative parcel map number PPM-16-033 is Steve M. and Stacy Simoes and Neil Zerlang, land surveyor. Do we have any further discussion, or are we doing a motion on that one?
Make a motion to approve the categorical exemption consistent with California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14 California Code Regulations, Section 15303, Class 3, pertaining to construction and location of limited numbers of new small structures, and conditionally approve tentative parcel map number PPM 16-033 with a final map waiver.
Second the motion.
Roll call, please.
Bailey's,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Willach,
Yes.
Vitigliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Okay, we can move on now to the public hearing portion on special use permit. Under the A part of the agenda, special use permit number PSP 16-054 and tentative parcel map number PPM 16-040. And that's Leon Ross and Neil Zerlang. And again, we have Dana, so good morning.
Elliott, Commissioners. This project is consisting of two separate projects. One is the special use permit, which would allow the creation of a parcel smaller than 20 acres in the AE20 zone. And the special use permit will also allow an agricultural service establishment. And then secondly is the tentative parcel map to hide that 48-acre parcel. The project is categorically exempt from CEQA regarding Section 15303, Class 3, pertaining to new construction or conversion of small structures, And the use of this section is appropriate as the project will create a 3.28 acre parcel to be utilized for an agricultural service establishment, to include the construction of a commercial structure less than 10,000 square feet in floor area on a site zoned for such use. Entitlement, the section 9.6 E22 for use permits allows agricultural service establishments engaged in services to farmers upon approval of a special use permit. And the same section 9.6 E20B allows the creation of parcels resulting in less than 20 acres for the purpose of establishing a new agricultural service establishment. And the business is a well drilling operation, so that is a service to farmers. The project is located in the urban area boundary for the city of Visalia, and the land use designation is agriculture. The project was found to be consistent with these applicable Tulare County General Plan policies. Project was noticed according to the law. Staff did receive one comment regarding the project, a neighbor, and they expressed concern regarding traffic and noise, and they may be in the audience today.
Dana, can you clarify the response from the city of Tulare on this project? City of Visalia, sorry.
Well, I would have to find.
I believe they had a no comment.
Okay, thank you. The project is located on the east side of Road 148, approximately 600 feet north of Avenue 280, which is Visalia Road, and this is between Visalia and Farmersville. The site is zoned AE20 and contains an old walnut grove. The surrounding properties are all zoned AE20. To the north is agriculture and an electrical substation. West is agriculture and rural residences. And to the south is the Visalia Unified School District Union School site. Here's an aerial view. And this area up here would be cut out. This would be the 3 acres up here for the ag service. This is the site plan for the contractors, well, for the ag service establishment. And we would divide this 48-acre parcel into 2 parcels. And as I mentioned, this is the 3.28 acre portion for the ag service. The applicant expects to use 1 forklift at the project site. The trees would be removed, the majority of them, in order to make room for the well drilling equipment. There will be a small temporary office for 2 to 3 people and eventually a shop building for making minor repairs. Deliveries would amount to approximately 3 per week, and the applicant expects to have at most 15 employees visit the site each day. Often, the employees would drive directly to the work site instead of to this facility. The hours of operation would be Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and occasional Saturdays. The entire site would be enclosed with a 6-foot-high chain-link fence. Parking would be provided on site, and a sign will be located in the northeast corner near the entrance to this facility. This is the tentative parcel map. And as mentioned, this small section here, 3.28 acres, would be created for the ag service. And a waiver of the final parcel map was requested. And staff is recommending that you, planning commissioners, approve the project in 2 motions. And the first is the special use permit, and the second would be the tentative parcel map. That concludes staff's report.
Any questions of Dana from any of the commissioners?
Hours of operation again?
7 to 5, was that it?
7 to 5.
That, in the summertime, that, especially for the well drilling, can they do that?
Well, the applicant is here, and those are the hours of operation that they put in the application.
Okay, well,
I know previously we've maybe made extensions from dawn to dusk, things like that.
Well, excuse me, didn't we have another well drilling situation where the neighbors were quite upset because there were late hours and we all conceded that right now everybody's drilling wells and this is a big deal? Maybe we need to talk about those hours.
Well, we could probably get into that as we get to see what the applicant thinks. Okay, I guess we'll now open the public hearing so that we can hear for or against. Is the applicant here? Can give us maybe a little insight into what they think on the project? And of course, state your name and address for the record.
Good morning, Neil Zerlang, licensed land surveyor, 2908 West Main Street here in Visalia. And I am representing Leon Ross and the drilling company for this project. I'm not sure that I can provide a lot of insight regarding the operation of the well drilling company. But I can attempt to do that and certainly address any questions you may have as far as the configuration and the parcel map procedure as well.
We've had other well drillings, Neil, that the neighbors complain, and I'm just one vote, but I'm always concerned that they've restricted themselves too much, and so, you know, maybe they don't work on Sundays, but I have to believe when farming's on, you know, you have to go on Sunday, and so maybe they come back at 7 o'clock at night, maybe they leave when the sun comes up. So it does seem to be a little restrictive what the box they put themselves in. So that's what I'm concerned about. So
I would agree. I was not part of the submittal of the operation statement that was submitted directly to staff and to Dana. We can certainly discuss that further between Dana and I with the applicant. The applicant is actually centered in Utah, and so we would have to verify that and see if they're going to keep those hours or if they want to discuss extending, you know, those operating hours.
So this is a new company that's being established?
They've been operating in the area for quite some time, but they're just establishing a permanent yard here rather than a temporary facility, is my understanding.
Well, it sounds like we're going to get a few of these in the future.
Was that your concern, Nancy?
Yes, that's my concern. I'm sure during other times of the year, it's not going to be 5 days a week till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That would be really limiting them. So we need to maybe address that, just because they're putting themselves in a box. And it has nothing to do with bad things.
I think it depends on what neighbors are directly around there, too. And we didn't get any comments from the people that were noticed.
Well, they did.
Oh,
They did
went.
get a notice.
Oh, okay.
One phone call
Oh, just a phone call. And that phone call was?
from the, trying to. Well, it was from this neighbor here on this long strip of property. So this,
It's the house.
yes,
Okay, and that is across the street from the electrical
yes, the
substation?
electrical substation is right here.
Okay.
I'm looking at the resolution, and I don't see that I put any conditions in there with regard to the hours of operation,
Oh,
as if someone else can see. Looking in the findings findings as well. I think I intentionally avoided placing that in there.
Well, that would be a very good idea. Then I think we can move on, can't we, if it's not stated?
No, it's only stated in the agenda item, and it's not in the findings or in the staff report or in the resolution, then there is no required time.
Some of those concerns are addressed as part of your monitoring that is incorporated in there as well. Isn't that correct? So if there are concerns from neighbors, those can certainly be addressed. But if the hours are not specifically outlined in the approval, then the owner would have some flexibility in their hours.
I would say that's a little bit risky, though. It'd be best if it wasn't in the agenda item either.
No.
Just because even if it's not in the resolution, a neighbor could come forward in the future and say, "Hey, why did you grant this? I want it to be revoked because they're not operating within this time stated in the public."
Well, maybe we should entertain like an addendum in the future if that doesn't work, or is that the way to do it?
Well, what we could do is just approve the project as is with the stated finding that no hours of operation were included within the approval of this project. And then if it does become an enforcement issue, we can always bring it back for further consideration through another addendum to the use permit.
Yeah, and that way it'd be on the record in the meeting. That was what was decided upon, even if it's actually written in the agenda item differently.
I'd kind of like to see if there's some additional testimony that might temper that.
Where are the hours included in the agenda item?
It's
I'm
the
sorry.
project summary,
Second page.
special use permit, page 3.
Bottom of page 3.
Hours of operation.
Lastly, through the chair, if I may, Hector Guerra, our CEQA analysis is based on what was provided in the application and what is provided here. So if you change the hours at this point in time, I pretty likely won't change the CEQA analysis. That's what we went forward with. So as Mr. Bach mentioned, if they need to have a revision in the future, they can always approach us.
Well, let's leave them as is for now. It looks like the smart way to do it.
Just through the chair, I'd recommend opening the public hearing if anybody else is here to testify. And then at that point, for your consideration, you can specify, if you want to specify hours that are more relaxed than what's identified here, you could do that. It is open to your consideration as far as putting requirements on hours. The site is out pretty much with the exception of that one neighbor, and I don't know if that neighbor is here. There's no other residential nearby.
There's a lot going on out there already. So, is there any other testimony then while the public hearing's open, for or against the project? Well, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And is there any discussion then on those hours?
Well, since we don't have any opposition here, we probably just approve it as it is and
Without the hour?
Yeah.
Can Hector repeat what he said? I didn't quite hear him.
The concern is that our analysis,
Yeah.
the CEQA analysis, is based on the application and the staff report that indicated days and times. If that were to change, you were to grant an additional day or like a Sunday operation, I mean, obviously, if there's a need, they're going to approach us and say, hey, this drought thing is continuing or wells are breaking down or something like that. On an emergency basis, we might be able to give them some latitude too. But I would say my recommendation as the CEQA guy is to maintain it as is, and because that's what our analysis was based on.
And request a change later by the applicant?
If they choose so in the future, I don't want to speculate.
Yeah, that seems to be the way to go, to kind of leave it as is for now.
If you leave it as is, if you just don't mention that the hours are not in the resolution, I think that can be risky. So I would say just clearly state what you're approving today. Are you going to stick to these hours that are in the application, or not, because if you just remain silent and approve the resolution,
Yeah.
the hours aren't in there, so it can be problematic.
Well, I can tell you one thing about the drilling of wells in the future is going to have a lot of things, a lot of implications and problematic things going on before we, I could say a couple of years ago, we could use as many well drilling companies as possible, but now, who knows? There's going to be a lot of restrictions on where we go with this, and I think this is good right here, and we just need to clearly state that in the motion, what we have in terms of these hours, for a number of reasons.
So we're all in agreement on the hours that are in there? Is that what I'm
You
hearing?
would need to add that to specify that if you choose to adopt as is, but then add the language of the hours, so that way it's added into the resolution, so it's clarified.
Hours that are here.
Yes, because we open up another can of worms.
And that would be on the special use permit.
Right.
Yes.
So then the way it stands here, then there's no Sunday operation at all.
No.
No.
No Saturday
No
or
Saturday.
Sunday.
They have Saturday.
Oh, yeah, occasional
But
Saturdays.
only occasional, but
Yeah,
No,
how
it's
long is
occasional.
it, how many is an occasional?
well,
Don't go there.
like an occasional chair, you sit in an occasional.
You want to say occasional weekends?
Yeah,
Well,
you could do that, and then the other thing is, this is a condition of approval, which would require going back to the planning commission. You could actually put language in there that you authorize the planning director through a minor modification to adjust those hours if they want to ask to. So if you want to add that language in there, then it doesn't have to go through the whole process of coming back to the planning commission if they say, yeah, we want to work and we want to start at 6:30
Yeah, that
in the
makes
morning or
sense.
whatever. So if you want to add that language into it, then
Yeah.
What was the language, Michael?
it'd be authorizing the planning director to consider revisions to the hours of operation as a minor modification.
Okay, so it sounds like we need someone to spell that out in a clear motion.
I'll try.
Or you could say as stated by the planning director.
Okay,
Well, get the minor modification part.
I'll give this a shot. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the categorical exemption consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Section 15303, Class 3, pertaining to new construction or conversion of small structures, and conditionally approve special use permit number PSP 16-054, and also allow for minor modification of hours as stated by,
Yeah, that'll work.
I second that motion.
We have a roll call, please?
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Vitigliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
yes.
We have another motion.
Second motion here.
We have another one. I make a motion that we approve the categorical exemption consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and the state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14 California Code Regulations, Section 15303, Class 3, pertaining to new construction or conversion of small structures, and approve tentative parcel map number PPM 16-040 and waiver of the final map.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Vitigliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Sorry about taking that down, I was too eager.
Motions have passed, huh?
Okay, motion passed. We'll move on to our planned unit development, number PUD 14-002. This is Tule River Indian Housing Authority and James Winton and Associates. And we've got Dana again on this one, eh?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
So this project is an initial study and mitigated negative declaration consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act and state secret guidelines, and mitigation monitoring and reporting program for planned unit development number PUD 14-002 and planned unit development number PUD 14-002. An initial study, mitigated negative declaration, and monitoring plan were prepared, indicating that although the project may have a significant effect on the environment, mitigation measures were incorporated into the project that would reduce any impact to a point where clearly no significant effects on the environment could occur, and there is no substantial evidence that the project, as revised, would have a significant effect on the environment. The ISM&D became available for 30-day review on January 29, 2016. Comments on the ISM&D were received from the City of Porterville and from the Central Valley Flood Protection Board. Staff responded to all of the comments submitted by the city and the Flood Protection Board, and the full text of those comments is available in Attachment 1, Exhibit C, Response to CEQA Comments. Entitlement is found in Section 18.5 of Ordinance Number 352. And in certain instances, the objectives of the zoning ordinance may be achieved by the development of planned units which do not conform in all respects with the land use pattern designated on the zoning map or the zoning regulations prescribed by this ordinance. A planned unit development may include a combination of different dwelling types and/or a variety of land uses which complement each other and harmonize with existing and proposed land uses in the vicinity. A planned unit development shall include only those uses permitted, either as permitted uses or special uses in the zone in which the planned unit development is located. The minimum site area for a planned unit development is 5 acres, and the average population density may exceed the maximum population density prescribed for the zone, and as indicated by the general plan, if the applicant can demonstrate by its design proposal that the objectives of this section can be achieved. The project site lies within the Porterville Area Community Plan, and the land use designation is low-density residential. The north parcel and, for the north parcel, and the agricultural conservation land use designation for the south parcel. There are 2 parcels here, we'll see in a moment. The low-density residential represents typical single-family subdivision with the maximum residential density of 6.0 units per gross acre. The planned unit development allows the average population density to exceed the maximum population density prescribed for the zone and the maximum population density indicated by the general plan. As mentioned, the north parcel is located in the urban development boundary of the Porterville Area Community Plan, and the south parcel is located within the urban development boundary for the city of Porterville. That area located within the UDB for the city is designated as open space. Both parcels are located within the urban area boundary for the city of Porterville. And these are the applicable Tulare County general plan policies that were found to be consistent with this project. A long list. There were a few comments from the city of Porterville that we thought to draw your attention to. The first one is they're concerned that the RAM zoning is intended for one-family dwellings only. And our response to this comment was that planned unit developments are designed to provide flexibility from specific zoning and general plan requirements. Approximately 3.89 acres of the land, which is the southern portion of the site, will be dedicated as open space, which is compatible with the agricultural conservation classification for the city. The next comment was that the zoning section 18.5 specifies a minimum 5 acres and for a PUD. The whole project is comprised of 2 parcels, is our response, which totals 8.2 acres. The developed portion is 4.3 acres, the remaining being classified as open space. The project, as described, is a total of 8.2 acres, and therefore it meets the minimum 5 acres for the planned unit development project. The next comment is that the multifamily residential is not in compliance with both of the general plans. And our response was that this MFR land use is why we are proposing the planned unit development, because the PUD does not require a subdivision for these 27 units. And these units would not be for sale separately by the Tule River Indian Housing Authority. They would be for rental units. And as noted earlier, PUDs are designed to provide flexibility from specific zoning and general plan requirements. And the next item, comment from the city, was that the existing well is not adequate, and they had concerns about the drilling of a second well. And the response is that a water supply sustainability report was prepared for the project. The conclusion of the report was that the quantity and quality of water proposed for this development for the long-term future is more than adequate. The water well pump test and bacteriological water testing occurred on March 5, 2014. These two tests are adequate for the development, and a second well will be drilled to comply with the requirement of at least 2 wells for a community water system. This project was noticed according to the law. Staff has not received comments regarding the project and this notice. The site is located on the south side of Springville Avenue, approximately 500 feet east of Sunset Street in the Porterville area. This is the site. This area here is zoned RAM, which is a rural residential mobile home zoning. Tule River right here, this area is zoned F1. Is a flood zone, and this area down here is zoned AE20, which is agricultural 20 minimum. The surrounding properties are all zoned similarly, RAM.
And is there any sewer service out to that area there?
Pardon me?
Any city sewer services there? Going to be all in?
Yes, I believe they were.
Hooking up to the Porta Vista sewer.
Okay, so they're hooking up, so they're going to have water treatment.
They will have sewer service.
Okay.
Historical aerial photos indicate that 9 single-family dwelling units were located on the subject site at least in 1994. Demolition permits were issued and finalized for all of those 9 houses in 2009. To the north are rural residences. To the east are rural residences. There's also some M1 zoning to the east. To the west is RAM zoning and M1 zoning, which is light manufacturing. On the western side, there is a small store over there, a market. And to the south is the 190 freeway, and the city of Porterville is down here. The project proposal is to develop 27 single-family residential structures on the portion of the site north of the northern designated floodway line of the Tule River. And north is looking in to the left, this direction. The single-family units will be utilized as rentals and will not be sold separately. The location of the project is within the Porterville Area Community Plan, and the land use designation is low-density residential. LDR classification provides for a density of 6.0 dwelling units per acre. It will contain a land use density of 4.5 units per gross acre. which is within the maximum density regulations for the subject site. Nevertheless, the PUD is designed to provide flexibility from specific zoning and general plan requirements. 54 off-street parking spaces will be provided for the whole development. This equates to 2 cars per residential unit, and additionally, 27 single-car garages will be made available for each unit. Development standards such as setbacks, yard areas, distances between structures, height of structures, and other design features are included in the design proposal for this development. This is the landscape plan, and development standards for landscaping for multiple family residential developments require that 40% of the net area of any multiple family residential development be devoted to landscaping, lawns, uncovered patios, walkways, fences, and outdoor recreation facilities. This is a sample of the exterior and the floor plans for the development. As mentioned, the Tule River flows through the southern portion of the project site through here. All construction activities will be set back 50 feet from the riparian vegetation as measured from the high water mark of the Tule River, and the southern portion of this site will all be dedicated to open space from the river south.
So, excuse me, Dana, could you go back to the site plan and show us on the site plan? There.
Oops, it disappeared.
Not, I said the wrong word. I meant that next
Okay,
one.
I don't know how to get this back.
Dana, go to
There you
back
go.
to the landscape. If you go to the,
What?
you want the aerial?
No, I want the one that shows,
You want
Go,
It
go to,
doesn't
go,
show,
go
if
to
you're
the-
looking for where the river's at, it doesn't
Yes.
go that
Go-
far
go-
out,
go-
because that's open space.
oh, it does not go out that far.
go to the landscape plan.
Go to, okay,
Next
but the,
There you go.
oh, there it is.
There you go. Okay, so where is the river from this?
The river from this
This
is
is flip. This is
Over
flipped
here.
the other way, Dana.
Up over there,
over here. This is the river.
right there.
Yes.
So will that have fencing? Do we know? It's just open?
I think it's just open.
Okay. I just wondered. Okay.
Appears that they own land on the other side of the river also.
Right.
They do. And that is all open space. Any further questions?
And it says in 1966, in that area, it rained like 18 inches in a 24-hour period. Is that subject, I mean, is it being built in the primary floodplain zone?
Not being built on the floodplain, no.
I mean, it wasn't clear on that.
Have you completed your staff report, or you still have more?
I think I have a little bit, well, let's see. I am completing my staff report.
Lots of comments.
Through the chair, if I may, before you open the public testimony, I'd just like to kind of mention an overview of this. The project was put out for public review for the initial study and the mitigated neg deck back at the beginning of February of 2016 for a 30-day review. It was submitted to the State Clearinghouse. It was mailed to, notice was mailed to all the surrounding property owners, all the state agencies. Copies were left at the Springville Public Library. It's posted on the website. Out of that review, we received 2 comment letters, one from the city and one from the Flood Control Board. So that was the initial thing. The city had some concerns beyond what Dana had mentioned, had concerns with the drought issue and the water connection. That was one of the major things. There have been multiple meetings between representatives of the county, the Porterville city staff, as well as others, and the tribe. And there must have been maybe 3 or 4 meetings throughout the course of the year, and I think we've got it resolved to a point that the mayor of Porterville submitted a letter back in October that said that they're supportive of the need to provide housing to the tribe's members, and they had provided and drafted a list of requirements that they wanted. I believe it's about 26 different requirements that the city wanted to have considered in this. We added all of those conditions into the draft resolution. The tribe had a chance to review the additional requirements, and they're agreeable to it. So that's kind of where we are now.
I noticed there was a letter in there that they are planning to annex this at some time.
At some point, the requirements, the way the letter was written, the city of Porterville drafted the following requirements, and if and when the project would connect to the city's water system, be annexed to the water system, as well as some point in the far future, the overall area might be annexed as well to the city.
This is really close to the area with, they got hit with the wells that dried up, right?
Yes.
So I noticed that this test was done in 14. Have there been more tests after that?
The agent is here. They can talk to the specifics on that, but they looked like the water supply, the sustainability supply was sufficient to provide the water that they need. There will be an additional well drilled in addition to meet the requirements of the state as far as having a community water system.
Didn't we have a situation here on another project several years ago where somebody was, maybe the irrigation district was claiming that people were taking their water from them, that this water didn't belong to them? This was irrigation district water? Do you guys recall that?
Don't have any knowledge of that, especially for this.
That was farther up the river.
Up the river was up.
Dick Schaefer came in and
So there's,
up above the dam.
there's no issues about the claim on this water then at this point, huh?
No, there's no
On the Tule River Housing Authority, then that means they essentially are developing housing outside the reservation area? Is that what they do?
They own they own this property. The tribe or the authority owns the property. I believe they'll be able to address any questions you have on that. But then they'll be renting the units out. They won't be sold individually. They'll be rented out to members. So essentially this is 27 single-family residents without subdividing to individual lots.
Right. Well, there's certainly a need for that, I'm sure.
But it will be limited to then the members of the tribe. It won't be open to the public. Is that correct?
I believe it's just tribal. It's the authority's housing project.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, I guess we should open the public hearing on this. Is there anyone like to speak for this project and give us a little insight?
Morning, I'm Jim Winton. Business address is 150 West Morton in Porterville. I'm here on behalf of the Housing Authority. Also, the Executive Director, Ray DePerry, is here, along with several members of the Housing Authority Board, and Mark Hillman of Hillman Building Design, who is responsible for the house plans and layout of the site. As Mr. Washington indicated to you, this has been somewhat of a long-running process. The Housing Authority has tried to accommodate all the requests and provide all of the information through this process that the county specifically and other agencies have requested. And we're actually quite excited to be here today based upon the amount of effort that they've actually put into providing the information. I don't have a formal presentation because the bulk, or almost everything related to the project, is in the 138 pages of staff report that you received. I would like to mention just a couple of things that came up in the questions earlier regarding the 1966 flood or the release from Success Lake. Those particular factors have all been considered in the FEMA flood line, which are shown on the property and limit development area in the designated floodway. There are actually 2 designated floodways on that portion of the river, the state designated floodway and the FEMA designated floodway, and both of them are shown, and we're trying to recognize both of those, and there wouldn't be any development within either of those. The other thing I wanted to mention is the well hasn't been used, the existing well hasn't been used for several years. It was tested in 2014. The test results, I think you mentioned, are in the staff report, both for quantity and there was a quality series run on the constituents, and the water does meet drinking water standards. There was another test done in mid-2015, about 18 months after the initial test, which is clear at the back of the staff report. I think it starts on page 171. No, I'm sorry. It's on 230, page 230. Anyway, you'll note if you compare the numbers, the standing water level, static water in the well was only a couple of feet lower than 18 months before. The pumping level was lower. The actual production was a little bit less because the pumps were set at, it says, at 68 feet. No, the pumps are set at 85 feet. Went down to a pumping level of 68, started to draw air. The well is actually 178 feet deep, so they aren't really utilizing, and nor have we tested the actual yield of the well based if there was a pump put at the bottom. But I think the small decline in the production of the well is indicative of kind of the result of the drought and what you're hearing about the wells that dried up in East Porterville, which are primarily well points, very shallow wells that were just along the river and the slough. When the groundwater table dropped, then the well points weren't able to find any water to pump. Those are the only things I have now. I would like to be able to respond if something comes up in later testimony that I need to talk about. Thank you.
Good morning, Tulare County Planning Commission. If I appear a bit nervous, it's because I am.
Okay, let's start with your name and address for the record, please.
See, I'm nervous. Yes, my name is Ray DePerry. That's D-E-P-E-R-R-Y. And I am the executive director for the Tule River Indian Housing Authority. It is a bit unusual for county government to be considering the possibility of a tribal government seeking to build houses off the reservation. But my experience in working with Indian country, it appears to be becoming somewhat of a regular course of business for tribes that do not have the adequate space or infrastructure necessary to build homes for their people on the reservation. If we had our choice, naturally, of course, we would much better prefer to build homes right on the reservation. Unfortunately, in our situation, that's not the case. And I don't know who had the vision years ago to buy that parcel of land over in Springville. But today we acclaim that it may have been a pretty good investment, because we are forced with trying to come up with some adequate housing for tribal members. And it's extremely difficult if you're familiar with the Tule River Reservation. It's extremely difficult for us to do a project of this caliber when we don't have that kind of infrastructure and resources. So we have been pouring our time and resources and energies into getting this Springville site developed. And we have worked patiently and cooperatively with city concerns and county concerns, as we should as government people, which we think would be for a good cause, to provide at least 27 homes for families that are so desperately in need of housing. Our waiting list right now for those who have made application from the tribal housing authorities end is about close to 300. That doesn't count a list that the tribal council maintains itself of about maybe 100 or maybe 200. So there is a great need there, and this would be a first project for us to venture into somewhat uncharted territories for us, but we realize that we need to certainly go by the procedures, the rules, the process that's in place. And we just hope that we can answer your questions. The county staff has been most cooperative. The city has been most supportive. And with your blessings, we'd like to maybe then move this project forward. And if I can answer any questions, I'll certainly try. Thank you.
We are certainly aware of the restrictions, because I can't exactly remember exactly what our part is, but there is some sort of a sewage treatment facility, and I think we had a hearing on it, but I don't remember if there was ever a disposition. So you guys are kind of limited to housing on the reservation itself. So
I've got a question. We had testimony here of staff that the city of Porterville may at one point annex this thing. Is that going to be, you'll be in the city limits at that point in time? You'll be able to operate within the city limits without any tribal issues?
I don't see any problem with operating under that jurisdictional umbrella at all.
Okay.
No.
Is there anyone else who would like to offer testimony then at this time? State your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Darrell Vera. I'm the chairman of the Tule River Indian Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. Just like to thank everybody, and I know each and every one of you are represented by staff that works behind the scenes and tries to get all the information you need available to you and stuff. And I commend them for their hard effort and their work and stuff, as does our office back at Tule River. And working with the different levels of government, tribal government, city government, county government, and even the state. The tribe, through the years, has been to multiple hearings and provided testimony, even as far as Congress, for housing issues. And our particular situation, as Mr. DePerry had mentioned, is that our soil and our terrain on the reservation itself is as such that it would be very costly just putting in infrastructure with the areas that we have left that housing is not there yet. It would just be too costly to consider right now until we move along farther and hopefully find ways to help with maybe even grant funds of some kind from the state, the county, or even the federal government. But at this particular time, we have entered into a venture as far as working with the city of Porterville. We've owned that particular property in the Springville Drive area for some years now, and there has been several things that have happened since then. But that particular property right now, as Mr. DePerry said, is we've got probably over 400 people that are looking for housing right now. And the problem we're not building on the reservation is because of the terrain and the soil up there and the cost of infrastructure. So we're looking at an opportunity to work with the city of Porterville, the county, and the state, whatever we need to do to try to get a project going to get housing for the people on our reservation. And this is one of the ways that we'd like to try to do that. And whatever way you guys can see to it that we can reach that goal, we would be very appreciative for your efforts and everything that we've done up to this point. And I hope has provided you with some insight as to our particular need. I'm not up here begging by no means, but I'm trying to let you know that there is a need, and as a local government, we're the local tribal designated housing entity. This is what we're working at right now, and we very much appreciate your blessing on us. Thank you.
Good. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for or against on this project? State your name and address for the record, please.
Morning. My name is Julie Phillips. I'm the Community Development Manager for the City of Porterville, 291 North Main Street in Porterville. I just wanted to come forward and acknowledge that county staff, Mr. Washam and his team have done a great job of coordinating with the city to try and find a way to meet all of our conditions and concerns and accommodate that in advance of any official jurisdiction of the city. But since this parcel is within, or these two parcels are within the city's urban development boundary, trying to work together and find a way that we can all help the tribe meet their obvious housing needs. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but just wanted to let you know that we are here.
Just one, is there any date as to when annexation might occur? Or I guess really what I'm after is I'd like to see them get on city water rather than well water.
That's definitely been a conversation. As you know, this area in these parcels specifically are right in the midst of the East Porterville drought response project that the state and the city and the county are all working together on. The state and its contractors are currently constructing water mains through this area along Springville. But right now it is not the city's water system. It is currently the system owned and being effectuated by the state of California. We will take ownership at some point in the future, but until that time, it's not our place to accommodate or allow new development. The feasibility study that was prepared by Department of Water Resources and State Water Resources Control Board was specific to accommodate existing development. No vacant parcels and no new or supplemental housing on existing developed parcels was addressed in that study, and nor will it be accommodated through that project. So at this point, it would be premature to require it. Certainly, I agree with the long-term logic and sustainability of doing that, but that I think is what is the root of these the city's conditions of approval that were incorporated into the resolution that's before you today. That at such time in the future that it becomes an option, that maybe that's something that could be pursued. Just for your information, all of the adjacent property owners, those individual landowners that have houses or rental homes on their properties, as they are coming forward to coordinate with the city and state on receiving that water through this water system, they are all signing an extraterritorial service agreement, and with that comes a deed restriction that upon such time as it is appropriate, annexation would be pursued. But we are not immediately pursuing annexation just because of the significant difference in county infrastructure versus city infrastructure. The curbs and sidewalks and gutters and street improvements that would be required would be an insurmountable task for our Public Works Department to take on. So it will likely be in bits and pieces as new development occurs. Certainly, if this project were 5 years out into the future, this would probably prompt annexation of that area, not just this subject parcel, but the parcels around it to make a logical boundary. I hope I haven't gone on too much.
Well, it sounds like then the ultimate goal is to provide water and city services for that area in the future at some time.
the majority of this area is going to be on city's water system within the next year. And yes, it's our long-term goal. It's in our urban development boundary to provide city services and see the new development that occurs be consistent with city standards.
Would this project be eligible then within the year to be on city services?
No, that's what I was referring to. That this project, as it is, that the not this project that's before you, but the state's project, the water system project, is only for existing development. There's a lot of discussions yet to happen on how to accommodate new growth and new development. And unfortunately, the water capacity that is being provided to the city as a portion of that project, obviously the pipes and infrastructure, but also the source capacity, the wells and things that are being provided for are strictly limited to existing development. And so things like this, unfortunately, are going to require additional source capacity, and those are conversations that have yet to be had.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to testify while the public hearing's open here? Seeing none, then we can close the public hearing. And I will say, in terms of the bad situation we had in East Porterville, it sounds like there's now at least an opportunity to do something positive in the future out there, and you got to build something, and evidently that's in the works. And maybe if there is new development being applied for in that area in the future, that they could come in with some kind of cost share to tie into all this. So there is a possibility here and a potential to move forward and certainly provide more housing for people that need it probably the most in Tulare County. So with that said, is there any other discussion on the board?
I just wanted to say that even with its issues, I think this is a better spot than trying to get it done on the reservation. We can mitigate the environmental impacts here at this location a lot easier than it can be up there. So it's not perfect, but the need is there so great that I could support this thing.
Well, one thing I did notice, there was a comment from the city about a biological assessment of the property. Was that ever done, Hector?
I can't recall all the facts. I know we consulted with Cal Fish and Wildlife, and they had.
Yeah.
This project was inhabited with like 6 houses.
9
houses, so
Yeah,
it's
so
amazing.
it had a prior
development.
use.
This is just a better development of what was there.
Yeah.
Through the chair, there is a mitigation measure that pre-construction surveys will occur for biological resources 14 days, no more than 30 days prior to the beginning of ground disturbance, so that will be handled.
Okay, maybe, I don't know if this needs to be tacked on as a requirement, but it's a suggestion. This obviously predates the AB 52 business, right?
This is the tribe we're working with, so.
Yeah, well, this is my idea on this. It's kind of a no-brainer, but maybe this could be an opportunity where the tribe could provide us with a kind of blanket sensitivity for the area and just give us something, some kind of opinion on this in the future. And like I said, I don't necessarily have to require this, but it seems like an opportunity for them to get involved and develop more of a capability of doing that.
Well, we've been working with this tribe as well as others regarding that for looking at projects in the future. So at the staff level, we've been working with that.
Yeah. Do they have an apparatus?
Protocols, be able to look at those things and work the whole consultation out to review.
So Tule River has responded on other projects?
I believe they have, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, as long as they're rolling forward on that, I think that's good enough for me. Okay. So we've heard some interesting testimony here. How do we want to go with this in terms of a motion?
Okay, I make a motion. I'm hoping this was a little confusing. It's a roadmap down here. I recommend that the Board of Supervisors adopt the mitigated negative declaration consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and the state CEQA guidelines, and adopt the mitigation monitoring and reporting program for planned unit development number PUD 14-002.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Vitigliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
And now I think we have another motion to consider on this.
Okay, I recommend that the Board of Supervisors conditionally approve planned unit development number PUD 14-002 and adopt the resolution establishing findings and conditions of approval for the project.
Second that.
Millies,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Whitlatch,
Yes.
Vitigliano,
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Okay, we're good to go on that one. Thank you for your testimony and consideration.
An exciting project.
Yeah,
Very exciting.
something we know we all need that housing, so we want to try to support that. One thing I will say, when you make an investment like that, there's always strings, and this is part of it.
Interest the Board of Supervisors also that the Tule River Indian Housing Authority is in the process of purchasing some land on Mulberry in Porterville, which we talking about putting another 21, 22 units on.
Yeah. Is that in the county or in the city of Porterville?
In the city of Porterville.
Oh, okay. Well, good luck with that.
Good luck.
Thanks for your time, Ted.
You bet.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wow, everybody's happy with it.
Yeah, it's nice to have everybody leave happy.
Okay, before we go on to number 7, I want to introduce a special guest here, and that's Cindy Hall, who's our general manager of our CSD in Three Rivers. And it's not unusual to have Three Rivers attend. They get involved in a lot of things, but it's really good to see our CSD monitoring what the Planning Commission is doing, because I can tell you personally from this Planning Commissioner, we're monitoring what the CSD is doing. So it's a really good relationship out there, and I think we need to encourage more of it.
What is CSD, John?
It's a community services district that monitors our river and water quality and use of it in a specific area, and it also provides a lot of input on prospective development and things that are going on in Three Rivers. So I thank you, Cindy, for attending.
You guys catch any of that water coming down the hill there?
I want to make a comment about that. We are now at about 20 inches of rainfall for the year-to-date in Three Rivers. What that means is last year we had 24 inches the whole year, and we're only in January. February is usually a really good month for us. Of course, you all know it could dry up tomorrow. We already have a storm that's looking pretty good for a week from today. We got really good snowpack. We have, not compared to back in the 80s or 60s, but if you look at our snowpack right now, we probably have about 4 feet in Giant Forest. That's really nothing. Even in 2011, we had way more snow than that. But up high at 10,000 feet, kind of like what you've seen from Tahoe, there's so much snow up there you can't even believe it. So I don't know what this all means, but I do know that if we get a warm rain and it rains way up there, all that water is going to come at once. So, but we've had that happen before, and it can happen again. So we all need to be cognizant of that. And in the meantime, like today in Three Rivers, it was the most beautiful, gorgeous, sunny day with snow everywhere. So make it your business to come up and visit now, get out of the fog, and come up and look at the snow and maybe even go up and play in it. So anyway, I won't say anything more about the water, but it's exciting, and we're looking at 2 really good years in a row. And after 5 years of drought, that's probably pretty good news.
Didn't I read that Mammoth has more snow right now than ever in history? They don't have a record that high.
They have a lot. They really have, their pack on their slopes is in the hundreds of inches, so.
You know, that's kind of the good news. The bad news that I kind of heard was, I think the water master at Millerton said that the Army Corps of Engineers required that he release 40% of the annual ag usage right down the river and let it go. It's gone.
Well, a lot of that is because it's a number one priority is flood control.
Right.
And if that warm rain does get on all that snow, they have to have somewhere to put it.
If we had temperance or a bit other storage or something like that, I don't think we're short of water. We're short of water management.
Well, yeah, and we've got to figure out better places to put it.
40
There's
more
no doubt
reservoir.
about it.
So Nancy, are you guys flooding into your land for
No.
percolate now?
We went out Dairy Avenue, Utica, Monday, and they are flooding lots of land out there. I would say probably, I don't know, they have so much land out there, but I would say a good 25% of their land is being flooded right now.
Does that really help your
Oh, yes.
your wells?
Oh, yeah, really, a lot.
Garces Highway out there, south of Alpa, and the Pozo Creek is running. Well, they can't control it. There's no way to control it.
Actually, the Pozo Creek broke
But
at Dairy Avenue. We saw that
it
out
was,
there.
yeah, so there was a foot of
flooded.
water about as far as you could see.
Yeah.
Heading up, it was moving northwest towards the Tulare Lake bottom.
That's not a bad thing.
Through the chair too, also, my understanding is in conversations with Supervisor Worthley that because of that requirement to release that water from Friant, it's coming down the Friant Kern Canal, which is then sending some of that water to Deer Creek and the White River.
Well, that's
so that's helping our recharge.
Right.
So
So we're catching some of it anyway.
Yeah, we
some
are.
of it, which typically that doesn't happen very often.
No.
That area is getting a lot of rain.
But 40% of the ag usage is in an annual. That's a lot of water. That
A lot
just
of
went
water
down
being
to-
released. But still, you are right. We do get recharge benefits all the way down.
It does. It trickles in.
So,
Okay, so let's start filling the Tulare Lake Basin. That seems like, what we used to do.
Down there, it's too late for us. It's
Yeah.
past us.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't perk very well because they've got that Corcoran clay layer.
Well, we
underneath.
could try putting it somewhere.
Oh, yeah, Boswell will sell it.
Yeah.
But the local irrigation districts are doing a very good job. Down the road from us, every, what are those called? Sinking basins are full. So they are percolating and they are working the system. It's a little tiny step, but it's better than nothing.
Well,
Better than letting it go by.
My well in Three Rivers is a really interesting project because the guy who put in the system, it's gravity fed and it's got a control board. It's a mini system of the same system that are in the city of Visalia, city of Hanford, and some Exeter stuff. And the control board got knocked out during the last storm. It's just the charge in the atmosphere. So he had to come up and replace the control board. He told me that the overdraft in the valley, and I'm talking about Ingram Digital, is so severe that we would need 10 to 20 years of years like this that are all above normal to even get back to something that's manageable in terms of not having a problem. So that huge overdraft, we've got to figure a way to put that water back in the aquifer.
I predict we're going to have 20 years of wet years.
Good for you.
I'm a positive
We
thinker.
need a positive
20
outlook
years.
on that. Anyway, we could talk water for a long time, and we're going to at the upcoming Planning
here.
Commissioners Annual Meeting. And we're going to have some real Tulare County expertise and insight on that, so we'll let you know more about that as it develops. But right now, let's move on to item 7 and the Director's Report.
I'll just touch on a few things. Thank you, Chairman. Yesterday at the Board of Supervisors, Chairman Vanderpool had a State of the County address highlighting a number of his priorities and the board's goals for the year. So that was a nice address, talking about economic development, talking about some road improvements and whatnot. Also at that board meeting yesterday, there was a presentation for Public Works identifying 28 road improvement projects, sidewalk projects, community area benefit, not regional, not the big bridges, but things that impact in the local communities. And I don't recall how many $1 million was it all told?
It was a couple. It was like five.
Yeah, it was like $5 million, 28. So some of them as simple as crossing improvements in front of schools, flashing lights, crosswalks, sidewalks, up to some sections of roads that are being improved. So there's a number of those, and throughout the county. We will be bringing forward at some point soon some Wi-Fi towers that will be coming through the valley. That we haven't got to PRC yet, but we're understanding that I think it's through AT&T's to try to boost the connections throughout the valley floor. So there might be a cluster of those coming forward in the not too distant future. With that, I would just say that Hernan has I think you have some road information about what we've been doing, or you have that on top of it, because we're talking storm and related snow plowing, all of that. I think he can give you a brief update of where we stand with that.
Well, our crew's been really busy up in the hill areas. I know that we have rock lights, and they've been cleaning up. I know that even here in the Kingsburg area, we had a mudslide, on one of the ramps there, and our crew's been all over the place, pretty much addressing all these issues and doing a lot of pothole repairs. There's a bunch of, after the rains, we get a lot of potholes, so they are all over the county, scattered all over the county, patching.
The county did a great job in this past event in Three Rivers. I noticed there's a lot of debris to clear and a lot of channels to keep open. And I was checking them out the last couple of days, and they're all doing what they're supposed to do. So, I mean, there's lots of water on the road. It's coming out of the rocks. We're going to have a lot of material still coming down, lots of trees falling. So just be careful. I mean, this is just part of what looks like is going to be the norm for the next few years. We're going to have and it's going to look different up there, but we need a good high water every once in a while to scour that drainage, and that's exactly what it's doing this year. So
Those rocks were dry for several years.
yeah.
All the cracks in those rocks.
Right, and you get water behind them. One of the things that's really weird is if you look around the landscape and you look close up in the foothills, there's no weeds. There's no wildflowers showing. It's all this unbelievable grass, native grass. And part of that is because it's just been so darn cold. And that's good because we need it to stay cold as long as possible, keep that snow up there.
Speaking of road conditions, if it's not already on your sites, you might look at Acres Road south of the Visalia Parkway. They go pretty fast out there, and there's some significant potholes out there right now after these last storms. Right by 272, there's one that's got to be 2 foot square and probably 4 to 6 inches deep, and somebody's going to take out a suspension on that thing, and it's towards the edge. But if somebody gets to that edge there, they're going to hit it hard. But on the way in, I was looking today, and that area's taken a beating over these last few weeks.
The county does have some liability in that too, I understand. So.
Well, we'll definitely look at these areas. If you guys have any other areas that you can consider imposing them.
Well, there's probably all over, but that one is pretty well traveled, and they go pretty fast as they are heading towards Tulare.
Yeah.
That probably needs to be addressed.
One other thing I wanted to ask, did Spada have anything to say? Because I heard he spoke on during the board meeting.
Board meeting yesterday?
Yeah, did he have a state of the county? Or no comment.
Have anything?
I thought I saw that on the agenda, but maybe
there will be a strategic financial plan that the board directed the CAO's office to perform and bring back for consideration. But I don't recall Spada giving a presentation yesterday.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. I didn't get a chance to watch the streaming or anything. Okay, anything else from our bunch over there?
Our bunch.
Well, I just like to offer, as you go forward with the planning for the upcoming conference, let us know how we can assist in whatever that be, I know you're setting up some tours. If there's some contact, if there's something that you don't have the contact for, maybe we might be able to get the contact for. So feel free to give us a call at any time, and we can coordinate and try to assist however you need our assistance.
Well, Ed's got so many ideas, we're hoping we can fit you in somewhere.
Well, actually, I mean, I have a couple of them, and the key on those ideas, of course, is logistics and location and making it a reasonable route without putting too many hours on the bus.
Right. Well, one thing, I've noticed too in the past is, you can do these really intense sessions, and everybody loves those. But in the afternoon, we need to lighten it up and have more discussion. So we're going to figure out some way to get the county to lead something like that on issues that are pertinent to all the commissioners.
Well, in the last year, talking about long time on the bus, that last conference we went to, what I really enjoyed about that was they had staff on those buses
Right.
and doing presentations. So you weren't sitting in a room after you'd been all day, dying, wanting to go back to your room. They got you right then when you were on the bus, and I thought that was great.
Well, and they took you to the places they talked about in the talks. And that was outstanding to actually see it in the field. So there's some good lessons there. Another thing they did was incorporate in one way each one of the board members who talked about things about their district or provided us information about each of the districts within the county. I think that's important for us to do too, and I'm going to pursue that for this conference. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, and I know we got the Ag Expo coming up, and
Yes,
there'll be a
we
lot.
do.
Is the county doing a booth out there this
Yeah,
year?
we'll have a booth once again. Well, there'll probably be a couple departments that have booths, but the economic development and purchasing actually shares a booth because we have heavy equipment that we often have for sale, surplus, that they advertise at the booth, as well as our economic. When we're there, we really suitcase the thing, so we're not really standing at the booth. That's our home base, but I like to go out and talk to the exhibitors and see, you're coming here, you're seeing your base of however many 100,000 and 60,000 visitors selling your product. I said, why are you in Wisconsin when you could be here where your clients are? And so we do that, and we kind of walk the grounds for maybe a day and a half of it, of just trying to network and make those connections with companies to try to get them to.
And you have seen some of that happen, right?
Yeah, we have. We deal with. There's been a number that we've been able to connect with. Also, it helps with our local businesses that are exhibiting there too. We make extra connections with those. Bari Olive Oil was there. Some of the solar companies that are doing things at the dairies and whatnot. Some of the biofiltration things and anaerobic digesters and all sorts of different aspects of the various industries that make up the overall agricultural industry. So we make those connections. We bring in. I also do the little secret shopper type of thing where I'll go in and because oftentimes, especially it wasn't necessarily last time, but a couple years ago, and it's always this way though, that other jurisdictions, South Dakota, come to South Dakota. Why? So I'll go in there without telling who I am, and I listen to their spiel to see what their pitch is, so we can see what marketing and counter that, or see what the draw is for what they're trying to sell, so we can counter that by saying, yeah, they're saying this, but we've got this to offer, or vice versa. So I enjoy doing that, going to the different states exhibits and saying,
Kind of like a snoop, huh?
My cousin's got a dairy, and he's fed up with this California regulations. Oh, well, come here. I like Texas. All you do is put a shovel in the ground, and you've got a well.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a baloney.
Oh, yeah.
What a baloney.
The panhandle, that's for sure.
Well, we do need a booth come to Tulare County. There's no doubt about it. And I'm sure we could get all the things that we get schmoozed with at the other booths, too.
And the other aspect that we have there, and we have a video monitor, because we also do tourism and film and try to do that attraction. So it's like hitting those visitors to the expo that are, hey, come visit the Sequoias, come visit Three Rivers, all the different attractions that we have. So we have that video playing, we have information that we pass out, visitor guides, those types of things. to encourage, maybe you don't have the time scheduled here, but now come back and see what it's like, that type.
We get a lot of people actually stay up in Three Rivers too, and I talk to them during the course of the week, and they love staying up there.
I know several people that stay in Three Rivers.
Yeah.
I'm always like, you do, and drive back and forth? Oh, they said we wouldn't do it any other way. They love it.
We get out of the fog a little bit, and we're going to have some fog. So,
Maybe we'll have rain.
okay. Well, if there's nothing else, then we will adjourn to February 22nd, 2017.